top cards that we want to see get reprinted in glorious gallery. So make sure you guys smash the crap out of that Contrast Hero Chaos, so you guys don't miss out more off. This is one that I think most of us want to see. Same thing with Shadow Mist, because hero players, Contrast Hero Chaos is available only in the starter deck. Honestly, it's a little bit frustrating knowing that you've been wanting to be able to play. It's also, you're getting Fountain this set. You know, once Masked Hero Fountain comes, it's one of the last missing pieces to make the hero strategy all that more consistent. So why would we not want to see two already existingly strong cards, you know, the Shadow Mist and the Contrast Hero Chaos, both needing to see some much needed love in the rarity upgrade slot. Also, Contrast Hero Chaos as a whole is a particularly strong card, honestly. It allows you to do some pretty broken stuff, and a lot of these lists have been needing two of them, so that's interesting. The Sea Monster of Theseus. Oh my god, if there's a card that we need to see reprinted right now, it is Theseus. Theseus ends up being really, really strong, man. Theseus as a super poly target against Cool Tune is ridiculously powerful. You know, you're able to take all of this control away from your opponent, and it actually just allows you to do some really, really good stuff. The cool thing, though, is also if your opponent sees a Sea Monster Theseus in your extra deck, it is the first card that is going to get ripped out of that extra deck. Your opponent is going to be like, oh my god, they're playing Super Poly? Well, I can't actually let them play into this, you know, so they have to, you know, automatically detour into punishing that piece. So that's an interesting topic of conversation, is, you know, Sea Monster Theseus being a nearly $30 card right now, needing a reprint is pretty crazy. Double Cyclone. Now, Double Cyclone has been it was a side deck choice for a little while due to Draco Tail having this whole overwhelming advantage thing that it was able just to kind of do within the format. You know, being able to negate your opponent's stuff was incredibly broken. That's why players were playing the Double Cyclone. That way, when you would activate the spell negate, that specifically has to target. That was the thing, right? Like, the spell negate specifically has to target the card. So you would use Double Cyclone to pop the other face down while popping your spell card or trap card, whatever, or, you know, you need to resolve. You're able to pop that, so you're basically making sure that your effect will resolve. It was definitely a dirty strategy, but Double Cyclone has really never recovered from this. You know, what low versions of these existed do need to actually see, you know, some repopulation actually occur. So that's a pretty big one. Graydle Dragon. I think this is probably one of the biggest cards that the player base has been calling for, because Graydle Dragon, for whatever reason, Konami has just did the whole la-di-da-di-da, we're not going to, you know, do anything reprint-wise with this, and it's been a little bit of a mystery to me as to why they've really chosen never to do this. And I do hope that we are a little bit wrong about this one, because if you are wanting to play, I know, cardboard sounds in background. That's the sound of me trying to find a Graydle Dragon. Just ask your friend, right? Surely your opponent, your dear old friend that has played Yu-Gi-Oh! For 150 years, surely they have a Graydle Dragon. But no, seriously. If you want to play any of the fun water decks that, you know, require the first penguin interactions, you're going to have to go pay the premium to get these stupid cards. And that's expensive. Nobody wants to do that. I don't want to spend stupid amounts of money just to be able to do this. Which brings us to Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice. That's right. If you were hoping for some actual love for the DMod package, this card needs to get reprinted. There's also the topic of conversation that we need to see the DMod stuff get reprinted too, the Gaze of Timaeus and all that, because those cards are absolutely freaking hilarious in terms of price. Like, nobody's going to be happy having to sit down and see the price point on those cards, because they're ridiculous. But the Magician's Apprentice is the next real piece that we need to have the topic of conversation on for the reprint. So I would be happy with seeing this card get reprinted. I think a lot of people would be too, and it'd be a cool Starlight that they could toss into the set. But you might be having to wait for a possible tin drop for that to actually, become a topic of conversation at a later date. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And then there's Soundproofed and Gravity Collapse. Both of these cards need reprints very badly right now. Gravity Collapse being able to just ruin an entire Synchro player's day is hilarious. But there's also the topic of, how strong are these cards? How much potential reprint equity do we need to have for these? And, there is also the topic of maybe Soundproof could get banned because taking out an entire Synchro player's turn is a little bit unfair. Nobody's going to really deny that fact. Just having a card that you can slam on the table that just ruins the entire opponent's day is a little bit crazy at that. Same thing with Gravity Collapse. Both of these cards are very ban-worthy topics of conversation. I really would not be surprised to see Konami actually take these out back and actually blow them up. But until then, reprints, please. Give reprint. Fiendsmith. Oh boy, they've reprinted so much of the Fiendsmith package as a whole now that it's a little bit rough to think about that these cards are still worth money. I do believe Konami still thinks that the Fiendsmith package has some reprint equity, and I do truly think it does. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this deck is literally worthless. No, that's not necessarily the entire case of that. But the Fiendsmith package as a whole definitely has some good value in it. We just need to see Lacrima become a little bit more affordable. They've danced around the topic of giving us, even cheaper Requiems and even cheaper versions of some of these cards. But I think the reality is we need to get this package readily available to the player base so that more players can actually have it. Deception of the Sinful Spoils. Yes, please. The Azamina package has become such a critically important piece to all of these off-the-wall strategies. You got people out here that are like, well, if I innovate with this package, then that means I get a draw, I can get access to DMod, I can do so many strong things to make these particular packages work that it's just interesting to think about. I do think, however, that as time kind of goes on with these decks, the package might fall a little bit out of favor, but I don't think so right now. It's just such a weird time right now just to see where these different particular formats are going and where these different strategies to make advantage are. But yeah, Deception needs it because that's a lot. Canine stuff like Noroi and Izuna. Well, first of all, Noroi getting a reprint would be, I feel like that'd be a tin department question more so than anything. But the thing is, you want the Canine package to be semi more available to the player base. We're in this really weird place right now where the Canine stuff is incredibly powerful. It helps counter so many strategies, but I don't know if Konami is going to want to do that right now. And I mean, that's fine. It just kind of is, it's going to be a little bit weird in terms of, where we're expected to branch out with the Canine stuff. Also Vanquishal sucks right now. That deck is terrible. So with that being said, a Noroi reprint wouldn't be bad, but is it worth it? And then Red Dragon Archfiend bumps, Soul Resonator, Vision Resonator, Bone Resonator, Red Rising Dragon. I think these would be, it would make sense to slot these into this set because you're coming off of all of the cool fancy stuff that, this is kind of bringing to, you get the full Red Archfiend deck with Blazing Dominion here. So may as well consider picking up, or having Konami print some of these things. And also, this will be a warning. I mean, maybe we do see some of these cards actually coming into the block here and actually making a difference in reprint equity. But these are everything that we want to see in battles, reprint-wise. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.